Hello, dear polymer clay enthusiast. I'm Mihaela from Learn Polymer Clay, and in today's tutorial I want to inspire you to make a beautiful pair of modern faux enamel earrings. I'm working with black polymer clay that I have previously conditioned and that I passed through the setting number 2 of my Atlas pasta machine, and then I used a Leafy stamp to texture the clay, and I used my roller to press on the stamp and impress a beautiful texture on the clay. And I'm going to use this textured piece of polymer clay to make the back of the earrings. Then I flipped the polymer clay piece, and I applied silver color metal leaf, and I used my fingers to press the metal leaf into the clay, and then I used the rigid blade to trim off the excess and put it back and store it for other projects. Then I am going to use an acrylic marker, and I'm just going to doodle some larger and smaller round elements on top of the clay decorated with the silver color metal leaf. And then I intend to use Magenta Alcohol ink and Baja blue Pinata Alcohol ink to color this doodled design. And I'm going to use these colors straight from the bottle, and I am also going to use a mixture in different ratios of these two colors. And so I have an improvised palette that I'm going to use to mix the colors. I applied some magenta alcohol ink on my improvised palette, and I also applied some Baja blue Pinata alcohol ink. And then I'm going to use a brush to apply a little bit of magenta in some areas, a little bit of Baja blue in other areas, and a mixture of these colors all around the piece, meaning I am going to color this doodling design. After finishing coloring these doodles with these alcohol inks and the mixture of these two colors, you can use rubbing alcohol to clean your brushes and keep them for a long time. While the inks are drying, I have prepared a second sheet of black polymer clay, passed through the same setting of my Atlas pasta machine, meaning the setting number 2. And then I used again the same Leafy texture stamp, and I textured a sheet of polymer clay that I intend to use to make an interesting embossed decorative element on top of the earrings with interesting cutout spaces. And so after texturing the clay, I used my craft knife to cut out a spiraling design, and in fact I'm just using the cut knife as I would use a pen to draw a spiral, and you might want to make thinner areas for the spiral if you want to have the colorful design underneath showing through even more than it does in my pieces. And then I just placed, so then I opened up the spiraling design. I removed the excess clay, of course, and then I will just start from the center of the spiral, and I am going to place this center on top of my piece colored with inks and decorated with silver color metal leaf. And I'm creating a spiraling design with interesting cutout areas where the colorful design underneath shows through. And then when we are happy with the look of the spiraling design, you can use baking paper and gently press it into the base. We are not working with raw clay on top of raw clay, so you won't have a very good connection between this upper layer and the other layer, because we have the silver color metal leaf and the inks between these two pieces of raw clay. But I just want to have this upper layer temporarily attached to the colorful layer, to be able to bake the pieces. And then I intend to use UV resin to bond them together, to secure them together, and in the same time protect the inks and enhance the beauty of the colorful design made with the alcohol inks. And then I used a large round metal cutter and I cut out a round element. You will have to smooth off the edges. And then I'm just going to use my rigid blade and cut this element in half. I need 2 pieces to make earrings. You have to smooth off the edges and make sure that you have pretty similar pieces. And then when you are happy with the look of the pieces, you can bake them in the preheated oven for 45 minutes. I bake my pieces on parchment paper because we have textured the back as well. And I tan them with aluminum disposable with an aluminum disposable pan to protect them from direct heat. Then I let the clay cool down, and then I used UV resin and a droplet, and I applied resin in the gaps, in the negative spaces on the piece. And I did my best not to put resin on top of the black textured areas. And then I just cured the resin for 7-8 minutes. And then I decided to use metal hoop earring components to finish the design. And in fact, I am going to attach them on the back. But I'm again using resin to do so UV resin. So I flipped the pieces, then I put the metal element on top of the pieces of polymer clay, and I used black clay to brace them up. And then when I was sure that they were staying in place and I was happy with the look of the design, I applied UV resin using a brush. And then I cured the resin for 7 minutes. And these are the finished pieces. And I hope that you like this idea, and I hope that you are going to give it a try in your work with polymer clay. Thank you for watching the tutorial, and stay tuned for more inspiration for work with polymer clay.